Premeditated homicide is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You've heard a long and complex case, ladies and gentlemen. And now it is your duty to sit down and try to separate the facts from fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The jury will retire.
He doesn't stand a chance. Chewing gum? Gum? Gum. Thank you, but no. You know something?
I know lots of things. I'm an advertiser.
No. Taught.
I wouldn't have known that if she hadn't told me. Would you?
I suppose not. I'd kind of forgotten.
All I've done all day is sweat.
I bet you aren't sweating like that kid who was tried.
You'd think they'd at least air condition the place. I almost dropped it in court.
My taxes are high enough.
You should go fast and lose. Yes. Hot. All right. Everyone's here. If there's anything you need, I'll be right outside. Just smoke.
Did she lock that door?
Yes, she did.
What do they think we are? Crooks?
They lock us up for a little while.
And they can lock that kid up forever. Care about me?
I never knew they did that. Or shut that door. What do you think they did? I just didn't know. It never occurred.
Shall we all admit right now that it's hot and humid and our tempers are short?
It's been a pretty hard week.
I feel just fine.
What has been going on down at the office? You know how it is advertising. In 6 days, my job could be gone. And the whole company, too. They aren't going to like this.
Well, figured this is our duty.
I didn't object to doing my duty. I just think I might not have a job by the time I get back.
Well, ask her to hire me. She's rich. I mean, look at her suit.
Is it custom tailored?
Yes, it
I have an uncle who's a tailor.
is. How does he do?
Not too well. You know, a friend of his. That's a friend of my uncle, the tailor. Well, this friend wanted to be on this jury, in my place.
Why didn't you let him? I would have done anything to miss this.
And get caught or something? You know what kind of a fine you can pay for anything like that? Anyway, this friend of my uncle's was on a jury once. About 10 years ago. I think he's just about like this one.
So what happened?
They left off, reasonable doubt. And do you know, about 8 years later, they found out he actually done it anyway. A guilty man, all murdered, still loose in the streets.
Did they get him?
They couldn't.
Why not?
A man can't be held in double jeopardy. Unless it's a hung jury. They can't try a man twice for the same crime.
That isn't gonna happen here.
6 days. They should have finished it in 2. Talk, talk, talk. You never hear so much talk about nothing.
Well, I guess they're entitled.
Everybody gets a fair trial. That's the system. Well, suppose we can't say anything against it.
How'd you like that business about the knife? Did you ever hear a phonier story?
Well, I mean, you gotta expect that. You know what you're dealing with.
He bought a switch knife that night.
Oh, and then he lost it.
A hole in his pocket.
A hole in his father.
Odd way to kill your father. A knife in his chest.
Well, just look type of people they are. You know them.
What's the matter? You got a cold?
A Lulu is out there built to kill you.
I had one last year while I was on vacation, too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take seats.
Right. This better be quick. I've got to listen to 12 Angry Jurors tonight. I must be the only girl who hasn't even seen it. All right, Chandler, start the show.
How about sitting down? The lady at the window. How about sitting down?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's tough to figure, isn't it? That kid just killed his father, just like that. Well, I mean, it's the elements. They just let these kids run wild. I guess maybe it serves them right.
There are better proofs than some emotion you may have. Perhaps a dislike for some group.
We all agreed that it was hot. And our tempers will get short.
Well, that's what we disagree. With this case, it's open and shut. Let's just get it done.
All right, now you ladies and gentlemen can handle this any way you want to. I mean, I'm not going to make any rules. If we want to discuss it first and then vote, that's one way. Or we can vote right now and see how we stand.
Let's go now. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
Yeah, let's see who's where.
Right. Let's vote now.
All right, let us vote.
Anybody who doesn't want to vote?
That was easy.
Okay, all those voting guilty, raise your hand. 9, 10, 11. That's 11 for guilty. Okay, not guilty?
Hey, you're in left field.
Okay, 11 to 1. 11 guilty, 1 not guilty. Now we know where we stand.
Do you really believe he's not guilty?
I don't know. After 6 days, she doesn't know.
In 6 days, I can learn calculus. This is A, B, C.
I don't believe it is as simple as ABC.
I've never seen a guiltier man in my life.
What does a guilty man look like? He isn't guilty until we say he is guilty. Are we to vote on his face?
You sat right in court and heard the same things that I did. The man is a dangerous killer. You can see it.
Where do you look to see if a man is a killer?
Oh, well,
I would like to know. Tell me what the facial characteristics of a killer are. Maybe you know something I don't know.
Look, what is there about the case that makes you think the boy is innocent?
He's 19 years old.
that's old enough. He knocked his own father 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 19-year-old kid.
I agree with you that the boy is guilty, but I think we should try to avoid emotionally colored arguments.
All right. They proved it a dozen different ways. You want me to list them?
No.
Well, you believe that stupid story I told them?
Now.
You believe the kid's story.
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't. So what did you vote not guilty for? There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not so easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy up to die without talking about it first. Who said it's easy for me?
Or me.
No one.
He's still just as guilty, whether it's an easy vote or a hard vote.
Is something wrong because I voted fast? Not necessarily. Look, you couldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years. I don't want to change your mind.
So what are you thinking of?
I'm going to talk for a while. Look, this boy's been kicked around his whole life. You know, living in the slum. His mother dead since he was 9. That's not a very good head start. He's a tough, angry kid. And you know why some kids get that way? Because we knock him over the head every day he goes to bed. I think maybe we owe him a few words. That's all.
All right, sure, it's hard. It was hard for me. Everything I've got, I fought for. I worked my way through college, and it was a long time ago. Perhaps you do forget. I fought, yes, but I never killed.
And I know what it's like. I never kill nobody.
I've been kicked around too. Wait until you work in an ad agency and the big boy who buys the advertising walks in. We all know.
In my country, no. Cooking was a science. Let's try and find something better than that.
Look, lady, I don't mind telling you this. We don't owe that kid a thing. He got his fair trial, didn't he? Do you know how much the trial cost? He's lucky he got it. Look, we're all adults here. You can't tell us we're supposed to believe that kid, knowing exactly what he is. I lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they said, and you know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible
right, if you insist.
Thank you.
Sure.
If we're going to discuss the case, let's discuss the facts.
I think that's a good point. We have a job to do. Let's do it.
Well, if you all don't mind, I'm going to put a window. It was blowing on my neck.
If you don't mind, I'd like to have the window open.
But it was blowing on me.
Don't you want a little air? It's summer. It's hot.
I was very uncomfortable.
There are 12 of us in this room, and it is the only window if you don't mind.
I have some rights too.
So do the rest of us.
Couldn't you trade chairs with someone at the other end of the table?
All right, I'll open the window if someone would trade.
You can have my chair.
Thank you.
Shall we get back to the case?
Right. Let's.
I may have an idea. It seems to me that it's up to us to convince this woman that we're right and she's wrong. Maybe if we each talk a minute or two. Try it on for size.
That sounds fair.
Very fair.
Supposing we go once around the table.
Okay, let's start it off.
Right. We'll start with you.
Oh, well, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious. In what way was it obvious? I mean that nobody proved otherwise. Nobody has to prove otherwise. Innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment. You've heard of it.
Everyone has.
Well, yeah, I've heard of it. I know what it is. What I meant was, I just think he's guilty. No reasons, just guilty. There was a life at stake here.
Okay, let's get to the facts. Number one, let's take the old man who lived on the second floor right underneath where the murder took place. At 10 minutes after 12, on the night of the killing, he heard loud noises in the upstairs apartment. He said his son left the fight. Then he heard the kid say to his father, "I'm going to kill you." A second later, he heard a body falling. So he ran to the door of his apartment, looked down and saw the kid running down the stairs and out of the house. He called the police, and the police found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Right. Now what else do you want?
It doesn't seem to fit.
The boy's entire story is flimsy. He claims he was at the movies. That's a little ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember the name of the picture he saw.
That's right. Did you hear her? She's absolutely right.
He didn't have any ticket stub.
Who keeps a ticket stub at the movie?
That's true enough.
I suppose, but the cashier didn't recognize him.
And the ticket taker didn't either.
Look, what about the woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, then nothing does. That's right. She saw the killing, didn't she?
Let's go in order.
Now just a minute. Look, here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep. It's out, you know. Anyways, she wakes up and looks out the window. And right across the street, she sees the kid stick the knife into his father.
But how can she really be sure it was a kid when she saw it through the windows of a passing elevated train?
She's known the kid all of his life. His window was right opposite hers, across the L tracks. And she swore she saw him do it.
I heard her swear to it.
Okay. And they proved in court that you can look through the windows of a passing L train at night and see what is happening on the other side. They proved it.
Weren't you just telling us a minute or two ago that you can't trust them, that you can't believe them?
So,
Well, let me ask you this. How come you believe her? She's one of them too, isn't she?
you're pretty smart, aren't you?
Now take it easy.
Come on, sit down. What are you letting her be upset for? Relax.
They did take us out to the woman's room and we looked through the windows of a passing elevated train, did we?
Yes, we did.
And were you able to see what happened on the other side?
I didn't see as well as they told me I would see, but I did see what happened on the other side.
You see? Do you see?
Let's calm down now. It's your turn.
Oh, I'll pass it.
That's a privilege. How about you?
I'm starting to be convinced, you know, with the testimony of the people across the hall. Didn't they say something about an argument between the boy and the father around 7 o'clock that night? I mean, I could be wrong.
I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock.
They heard the father hit the boy twice and then saw saw the boy walk angrily out of the house.
Right?
What does that prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Anything else?
No.
I don't know. Most of it's been said already. We can talk about this thing all day, but I think we're wasting our time. I don't.
Neither do I. Go on.
Look at the kid's record. He stole a car. He's been arrested for money. I think they said he stabbed somebody in the arm.
They did.
He was picked up for night fighting. At 15, he was sent to reform school.
And they sent him to a reform school for stabbing someone.
This is a very fine boy. Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him regularly. He used his fist. So would I on a kid like that.
You're right. It's the kids. The way they are, you know. They don't listen. I've got a kid. When he was 8 years old, he ran away from a fight. And I was so ashamed. I told him flat out, I'm going to make a man out of you. I'm going to bust you up into little pieces trying. When he was 15, he hit me in the face. And he's big, you know. I haven't seen him in 3 years. He's a rotten kid. I hate tough kids. You work your heart out, and then you... All right. Let's get on with it.
We're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's a product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to go into the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. You know it, and so do I. The children who come out of slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it there. I don't want any part of it, believe me.
I've lived in a slum all my life.
Just a minute.
I used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells on me.
Now let's be reasonable. There's nothing.
There is something personal.
Hey, come on now, fella. He didn't mean you. Let's not be so sensitive.
Who did you mean? I can understand the sensitivity.
Let's talk the part of the bickering.
We're wasting time.
It's your turn.
All right. I had a peculiar feeling about this trial. Somehow I felt that the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. Too many questions were left unasked.
While it doesn't change my opinion about the guilt of the boy, I do agree with you. The defense counsel was bad.
So,
This is a point.
what about the facts?
So many questions were left unanswered.
What about the questions that were answered? For instance, let's talk about that cute little switch knife that fine upright boy admitted buying.
All right, let's talk about it. In fact, let's bring it in here to look at it. I'd like to see it again, Mr. Foreman.
We all know what it looks like. Why do we have to see it again? What do you think?
The woman has the right to see exhibits and evidence.
Okay, by me.
This knife is a pretty strong piece of evidence, don't you agree?
I do.
All right, let's get this sequence of events right as they relate to the switch knife.
The boy admits to going out of the house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched.
Or punched. The boy went to a neighborhood store and bought a switch knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day as he admitted selling it to the boy.
And we all know it's an unusual knife. It's pretty hard to get something like that.
The storekeeper identified the knife as it was the only one of its kind he had in stock. Why did the boy get it?
As a present for a friend of his, he says.
Am I right so far?
Right.
You bet she's right. Now listen to her. She knows what she's talking about.
Next, the boy claims that on the way home, the knife must have fallen through a hole in his coat pocket. But he never saw it again. Now, there's a story. You know what actually happened. The boy took the knife home, and a couple hours later, he stabbed his father with it. And he even remembered to wipe off the fingerprints. Everyone connected to the case identified this knife. Now, are you trying to tell me that someone picked it up off the street, went to the boy's house, and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No, I'm saying that it's possible that the boy lost the knife and that someone else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Take a look at this knife. I've never seen one like it before in my entire life, and neither had the storekeeper who sold it to him. Now, you're trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence.
I'm not trying to make anyone accept it. I'm just saying it's possible.
I'm saying it's not possible. Now what are you trying to do here?
Yeah, what is this? Who do you think you are? Look at it. It's the same knife.
Let's calm down.
Where'd you get it?
I got
Now listen to me.
I'm listening.
You pulled a real smart trick here, but you proved absolutely zero. Suppose there are 10 knives like that. So what?
Maybe there are.
The boy lied. You know it.
And maybe he didn't lie. Maybe he did lose the knife. And maybe he did go to the movies. And maybe the reason the cashier didn't see him at the movies was because he sneaked into the movies. And maybe he was ashamed to say so. Is there anybody here who didn't sneak into the movies at least once or twice when they were young? I didn't.
Really? Not even once?
Well, we didn't have movies.
Oh,
Maybe he did go to the movies. Maybe he didn't. And he may have lied. Do you think he lied?
That's a stupid question. Of course he lied.
Do you?
you don't have to ask me that. You know my answer. He lied.
Do you think he lied?
Well, I don't know.
Now, wait a minute. Who do you think you are, the kid's lawyer? Listen, 11 of us still think he's guilty. You're alone. What are you going to accomplish? Do you want to be stubborn and hang this jury? If we tried again and found guilty, sure, as he's born.
You're probably right.
So what do you want to do about it? We can be here all night.
It's one night. The man may die.
Oh, now come on.
Well, yes, that's true.
I think we ought to get on with it now.
Right. Let's get going here.
How do you like her?
What have you got to say? You're the one holding up the show.
Obviously, you don't think the boy is guilty.
I have a doubt in my mind.
But you haven't really presented us with anything to make us understand your doubt. There's the old man downstairs. He heard the boy. He heard the boy shriek it out.
And the woman across the L tracks, she saw it.
The kid bought a switch knife that night. We don't know where he really was. At the movies.
Earlier that night, he and his father did have a fight.
He's been a violent kid all the way. And, well, that doesn't prove anything.
Still, you know.
I've got a proposition to make. I want to call for another vote. I want you 11 jurors to vote on secret ballot. I'll abstain. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, I won't stand alone. We'll take in a guilty verdict right now.
Okay, let's do it.
That sounds fair. Is everyone agreed?
I certainly am.
Let's roll it.
Perhaps this is best.
Guilty. 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 Guilty.
That's 6.
Please. 6 guilty. 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 Not guilty. Guilty.
Well, how do you like that?
All right, who did it? I think you're right to know.
Right. Who did it? What idiot changed his vote?
Is that a way to talk about a man's life?
Whose life are you talking about? The life of a dead man or a murderer?
I want to know. Who?
So do I.
Excuse me. This was a secret ballot.
No one looked while we did it, but now I want to know.
Secret ballot. We agreed on that point, no? If the person wanted to remain a secret,
What do you
then...
mean? There are no secrets in here. I know what it was. What's the matter with you? You come in here and you go guilty, and then you let this slick preacher tear your heart out about poor slum kids who can't help becoming a murderer? That is the most sickening.
Now hold it.
I agree with you that the boy is guilty, but let's be fair.
Hold it. Be fair. That's just what I'm saying. We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs. And now all of a sudden, we're paying attention to fairy tales.
Now, just a minute.
Now you listen to me.
Let's try to keep this organized, gentlemen.
It isn't organized, but let's try to be civilized.
Please, I would like to say something here. I've always felt that a person was entitled to have unpopular opinions in this country. That is the reason why I came here. I wanted to have the right to disagree.
Well, do you disagree with us?
Usually I would. In this one case, I agree with you. But the point I wish to make is that in my own country, I'm ashamed to say
Oh, now what do we have to listen to? The whole history of your country?
It's always wise to bear in mind when it's happened in other countries when people aren't allowed to disagree, but we are. So let's stick to the subject.
Yes, let's stick to the subject. I want to ask you, what made you change your vote?
And I want to know too. You haven't told us yet.
I
Why do you think I changed my vote?
Because I do. Now get on with it.
There's nothing for him to tell you. He didn't change his vote. I did.
I was going to tell you, but you were so sure of yourself.
Sorry. Okay, now,
Maybe you'd like to know why.
I want to tell you what I think.
The woman wants to stop talking.
Thank you. This woman chose not to stand alone against us. That's her right. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even when you believe in something very strongly. She left the verdict up to us. She gave for support, and I gave it to her. I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2.
That's fine by me. As long as the speech is over, let's go on.
If there is anything in the kid's favor, I'd vote not guilty.
I don't see what it is.
Neither do I. They're clutching at straws.
Guilty as they get. That's the kid, I suppose.
It's that one juror that's holding out, but she'll come around. She's got to. Fundamentally, she's a very reasonable woman.
Guess so.
They haven't come up with one real fact yet to back up the not guilty verdict.
It's hard, you know?
Yes, it is. And what does guilty beyond a reasonable doubt really mean?
It's a reasonable doubt.
Exactly. When a life is at stake, what is a reasonable doubt? You've got to have law and order. You've got to draw the line somewhere. If you didn't, people would just go around knifing each other.
Not much doubt here.
2 people think so. I wonder why. Oh, I really wonder why.
Well, you do hear stories about innocent men who've gone to jail or death sometimes, and then years later things turn up.
And on the other hand, killers get turned loose. They squeeze out from technicality and just kill again.
Listen, buddy, now that we've kind of cooled off, why, I was a little excited a minute ago. I didn't mean to be nasty. Well, you know how it is. Nothing personal.
All right.
Look, supposing you answer me this. The kid didn't kill him? Who did?
As far as I know, we are here to decide whether the boy on trial is guilty. We are not concerned with anyone else's motives here.
I suppose, but who else could have had a motive?
The kid's father was along in years. Maybe an old grudge.
Remember, it is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This is an important thing to remember.
Everyone's a lawyer. Suppose you explain to us what your reasonable doubts are.
This is not an easy thing for me. As of now, it's just a feeling that I have. A feeling. Perhaps you would understand.
No, I don't.
A feeling? Oh, what are you gonna do? Spend the night talking about your feelings? What about the facts?
Said a mouthful. Look, the old man heard the kid yell, "I'm going to kill you." A second later, he heard a body falling and saw the kid run out of the house 15 seconds after that.
Where's the reasonable doubt in that?
That's right. And let's not forget about the woman across the street. She looked into the open window and saw the boy stab his father. She saw it.
Now, if that's not enough for you,
It's not enough for me.
What is enough for you? I'd like to know.
How do you like her? It's like talking to a dead foe.
The woman saw the killing through the windows of a passing elevated train. The train had 5 cars. She saw the murder through the last 2 cars. She remembers the most insignificant details.
well, what have you got to say about that?
I don't know. It doesn't sound right to me.
Well, supposing you think about it. Here, let me your pencil. We can play some tic-tac-toe and pass the time.
This isn't a game!
Now, wait a minute.
This is a man's life!
Who do you think you are?
All right, take it easy.
I've got a good reason to walk from this table and give her a piece of my mind.
Now please, I don't want any fights in here.
Did you hear her? The nerve. The absolute nerve.
All right, that's enough. Don't mean nothing.
How about sitting down?
This isn't a game. What does she think she is?
We're talking about elevated trains.
Yes, we were. So, all right. How long does it take an elevated train when at top speed passes the point?
What has that got to do with anything?
How long did it take? Yes.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Neither would I.
What do you think?
I guess about 10 or 12 seconds.
I'd say that's a fair guess. Anyone else?
I would think about 10 seconds perhaps.
About 10 seconds, yes.
Okay, seconds. What are you getting at?
This. An elevated train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. That given point would be the window of the room in which the killing took place. You can almost reach out the window of the room and touch the L, right?
That's right, I tried it.
So, well, let me ask you this. Has anyone here ever lived right next to the L tracks?
I've lived close to them.
They make a lot of noise, don't they? I've lived right next to the L tracks, and when your window is open and that train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. I can't hear myself think.
Okay, can't hear yourself think. Just get to the point.
The old man heard the voice say.
Hold on, wait a minute. He didn't say it. He screamed it.
The old man heard the voice scream, "I'm going to kill you," and then 1 second later heard the body fall. 1 second. That's the testimony, right? Right. The woman across the street looked through the windows of the last 2 cars. Right.
So?
The last 2 cars. The last 2 cars.
What are you giving us here?
An elevated train takes 10 seconds to pass the given point, or 2 seconds per car. That L train had been going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds, and maybe more, before the body fell, according to the woman. The old man would have heard the voice say, "I'm going to kill you," while the L train was roaring past his nose. It's not possible that he could have heard it.
What do you mean? Sure he could have heard it.
With an L train going by,
He said the boy yelled it out.
an L train makes a lot of noise.
Enough for me.
It's enough for me too.
I just don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe the old man didn't hear it. I heard the owl noise.
What are you people talking about? Are you calling the old man a liar?
Something doesn't fit.
Well, it stands to reason.
You're crazy. Why would he lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
You keep coming up with these bright sayings. Why don't you sell it into a newspaper? That makes $2.
What does that have to do with the man's life? Why might the old man have lied? You have a right to be heard.
It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was split under his arm. Did you notice that? This is a very old man who carries 2 canes with a torn jacket. I think I know him better than anyone else in this room. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant man who has been nothing all his life, who has never had recognition, his name in the newspapers. Nobody knows him after 75 years. This is a very sad thing. To be nothing. A man like this needs to be recognized, to be questioned, to be listened to be quoted just once. This is very important.
And you're trying to tell us he lied about a thing like this just to feel important.
I'm saying that he made himself believe he recognized the boy's face and heard the voice.
Well, that's the most fantastic story I've ever heard. How could you make up a thing like that?
I'm not making it up.
You must be making it up. People don't lie about things like that.
He made himself believe he told the truth.
What do you know about it?
I speak from experience.
What?
I am the same type of person.
I think we all understand now. Thank you.
If you want to make her a liar, all right by me.
No, that is too much.
She's a liar. She just told us so.
Please, she was explaining the circumstance so that we could understand why the old man might have lied. There is a difference.
A liar is a liar. That's all there is to it.
Please, have some compassion.
People, we have our job and our duty here.
I think they've covered it.
I hope we have.
All right, is there anything else?
Cough drop?
No, thank you.
Does anybody want a cough drop?
Come on, let's get on with it.
I'll take one. Thank you. Now, there's something else I'd like to point out here. I think we've proven that the old man couldn't have heard the voice say, "I'm going to kill you."
Well, I disagree.
Let's hear us through anyway.
But, supposing the old man did hear the voice say, "I'm going to kill you," this phrase, how many times have each of you used it? Probably hundreds. You do that one more time, Junior, I'm going to murder you. Come on, Rocky, kill him. We use this phrase almost every day. It doesn't really mean we're going to kill someone.
Don't the circumstances alter that somewhat?
The old man was murdered.
And one thing more. lungs.
That's the way I understand it.
Don't try and tell me that he didn't mean it. Anybody says a thing like that, the way he said it, they mean it.
And how they mean it.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you really think the boy would shout out a thing like that so the whole neighborhood would hear it? I don't think so. He is much too bright for that.
Right? He's a common ignorant slob. You don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak the English.
The boy is clever enough.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
The vote is 93 in favor of guilty.
Why did you change your vote?
I believe there is reasonable doubt.
Where? What's the doubt?
There's the knife.
Oh, fine.
She talked you into believing a fairy tale.
Go on, give us a reason.
Well, just maybe the old man didn't lie. And then, just maybe he did. Maybe the old man doesn't like the kid.
Well, if that isn't the end,
I believe there is reasonable doubt.
where? What are you basing it on? Stories that this girl made up? She ought to write for Amazing Detective Monthly. She'd make a fortune. Listen, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? Why didn't his lawyer bring up all these points?
Lawyers can't think of everything.
Oh, brother. You sit here and pull stories out of thin air. Now, we're supposed to believe that the old man didn't get out of bed, run to the door, and see the kid beat it downstairs 15 seconds after the killing?
That's the testimony I believe.
And he swore to this, yes. He swore to this only so he could be important.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walk. What's the difference? He got there.
I don't remember what he said. But I don't see how he could run to the door.
He said he went. I remember it now. He said he went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Where was his bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere.
Down the hall? Are we to send a boy off to die because it's down the hall somewhere?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you knew everything. Do you know that?
No, I don't. I don't either. Mr. Foreman, I'd like to see the diagram of the apartment.
Why don't we have them run the whole trial over? Just so you can get everything straight.
The room is down the hall somewhere. Do you know? Do you know exactly where it is? Please, a life is at stake here. Do you know?
Well,
Mr. Foreman?
I heard you.
All right. What's this one for? How come you're the only one in the room who wants to see exhibits all of the time?
I want to see this one too.
So what?
And I want to stop wasting time.
Are we going to start wading through all that nonsense about where the body was found?
We're not. We are going to find out how a man who's had 2 strokes in the past 3 years and walks with a pair of canes could get to his front door in 15 seconds.
He said 20 seconds.
Said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge a thing like that.
He said 15. He is very positive about it.
He was an old man. You could see that. Half the time he was confused. How can you be sure about anything? Well, you know.
No, I don't know. Maybe you know. Is this what you wanted?
That's right. Thank you.
My dog.
You want this?
Yes, please.
wake me up when this is over.
I've looked at that diagram for 2 hours. Enough is enough.
Some of us are interested. Go ahead.
All right. This is the apartment in which the killing took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath it and exactly the same. Here are the L tracks. The bedroom, another bedroom, living room, bathroom, kitchen, and here's the hall. Here's the front door, and here are the steps. Now, the old man said he was in bed in this room. He said he got up, went into the hall, down the hall, to the front door, opened it, and looked out just in time to see the boy racing down the stairs. Am I right?
That's the story.
That's what happened.
15 seconds after he heard the body fall. Right. His bed was at the window. It's 12 feet from his bed to the bedroom door. The length of the hall is 43 feet 6 inches. So the old man had to get up out of bed, grab his canes, walk 12 feet, open his bedroom door, then walk 43 feet, and open his front door. All in 15 seconds. Do you think this is possible?
You know it's possible.
I don't see why not.
He would have been in a hurry. He gave hear the scream.
He could only walk very slowly. They had to help him and put his chest.
You make it sound like a long walk. not.
For an old man who carried 2 canes, it's a long walk.
What are you doing?
I want to try this thing. I want to see how long it took him. I'm going to pace 12 feet, the length of the bedroom.
You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
Perhaps if we could see it. This is an important point.
Ridiculous waste of time.
Let her do it.
I don't see any harm in it. Foolish, but go ahead.
Hand me a chair, please. This is going to be the bedroom door. Now, how far would you say it is from here to the door of this room?
I say about 20 feet.
Just about 20 feet is close enough. So from here to the door of the back would be about 40 feet. That's shorter than the length of the hall that all men can move through. What did you say that? A few feet, maybe.
Look, this is absolutely insane. What makes you think you can do this?
We can't stop her.
Do you mind if I try it? According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. We can spare that. Who's going to watch with the second hand? I am. All right, when you want me to start, scan your foot. That'll be the body call. I'll time you from there. Let's say he keeps his cane at his bedside, right? Right. Okay, I'm ready. I'm wanting it to be a 60.
Oh, speed it up. The old man went twice as fast as that.
This is, I believe, even more clipped than the old man walked in the courtroom.
No, it isn't.
If you think I should go faster, I will.
Speed it up a little.
Stop. Right. What's the time? 15, 20, 25, 30. 39 seconds exactly.
That can't be.
39 seconds? Now that's interesting.
Hey now, no.
What do you think of that?
39 seconds. 39. And the old cripple swore under oath that it was 15. Now she may have been a little off on the speed that ought to be looked at, but 24 seconds off? Well, now you know.
Far be it for me to call anyone a liar, and for even allowing for quite a difference in speed between the old man and you. Why, still there's quite a...
Quite a discrepancy.
It's my guess that the old man was trying to get to the front door, heard someone racing down the stairs, and assumed it was the boy.
I think that's possible.
Assumed? Now listen to me, you people. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day. But this little display takes the cake.
What dishonesty.
Tell it. You come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about slum kids and injustice, and come up with these wild stories, and have a soft-hearted old lady listen to you. Well, I'm not. I'm getting more sick of you. What's the matter with you people? This kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We'll even slip through our fingers.
Our fingers? What are you, his executioner?
I'm one of them.
Oh, perhaps you'd like to pull the switch.
For this kid, you bet I'll pull the switch.
I'm sorry for you.
Don't start with me.
What it must be like to want to pull the switch?
Shut up.
You're a sadist.
Shut up.
You want to see this poor guy because you personally want it, not because of the facts. You're a beast. You disgust me.
Shut up. I'll kill him. I'll kill him.
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
Is there something wrong? I heard a noise.
No, there's nothing wrong. You can take that back. We're finished with it.
Well, what are you all looking at?
I don't see why we have to behave like children here. Nor do I. We have a responsibility. This is a remarkable thing about democracy. That we are, what's the word? Notified. That we are notified by mail to come down to this place and decide on the guilt or innocence of a man we have not even known before. We have nothing to gain or lose by our verdict. This is the reason why we are strong. We should not make it a personal thing.
Thank you very much.
Why do you thank me?
It's good to be reminded.
I'm glad that we're going to be civilized about this.
Well, we're still nowhere.
No, we're somewhere. Or getting there. Maybe.
Maybe.
Who's got an idea?
I think maybe we should try another vote. Mr. Foreman?
It's all right by me. Anybody doesn't want to vote?
Let's vote.
Yes, vote.
It's all right. Let's do it.
I want an open ballot. Let's call our votes out. I want to see who stands where.
That sounds fair. Does everyone agree? All right, I'll call out your jury numbers. I vote guilty. Number 2,
Not guilty.
3,
Guilty.
4,
Guilty.
5,
Not guilty.
6,
Not guilty.
7,
Guilty.
8,
Not guilty.
9,
Not guilty.
10,
Guilty.
11,
Not guilty.
12.
Guilty.
That's 6 to 6.
You know what I think? I think the crime is being committed right here in this room.
The vote is 6 to 6.
I'm ready to walk into court right now and declare a hung jury. There's no point in this going on in the board.
We should vote.
All right. I vote that we are on jury. Number 2,
No.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
No.
6,
No.
7,
Yes.
8,
No.
9,
No.
10,
Yeah.
11,
No.
12.
Yes.
6 to 6.
We can't even decide whether or not we're a hung jury.
I went along with the majority vote on this question, and I don't quite agree voting that way. Not really, so I'm changing my vote. I say no. We are not a hung jury. I think this boy is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. There are still some things I want to find out from those jurors who changed their votes.
Then we are on a hung jury. So we go on.
Why did you change your vote?
Well, she seems so sure of herself. And she's made a number of really good points. Well, he just gets mad and insults everyone.
Does the anger and insult change the guilt of the boy? He did do it. Are you going to send a murderer loose on the streets because one of the jurors gets angry when he thinks a murderer is being turned loose?
That's true.
There is a doubt.
I don't think so. The track is straight in front of the window. Let's take that to point. So the L would make a low rumbling noise. L screams when they go around curves. So the old man could have heard the scream, which is high-pitched. And it's a tenement, so they have very thin walls.
Good, good. That's it. That's it.
And what if the old man was wrong about the time it took him to get to the door, but right about whom he saw running down the stairs? Now, it's summer. There are no fingerprints found on the knife, so gloves seem unlikely.
I want you all to listen to this woman. She knows what she's talking about.
And it might have taken the murderer a second or two to get out a handkerchief and wipe away all the fingerprints.
This is a point.
Why don't we just tie this one? To see.
Just what are we tying?
Yes, let's be exact, please.
I'm saying that the old man might have been wrong about the time it took him to get to the door, but right about whom he saw running down the stairs. Now, it might have taken the murderer about 39 seconds to get out a handkerchief and wipe away all the fingerprints and get down the stairs to where the old man saw him, the boy that is.
This is right.
We reconstructed the old man getting out of bed and going to the door. And we timed that. Now let's reconstruct the actual crime.
As well as we can reconstruct it.
I think a murderer could use up 30 or 40 seconds pretty easy at that point.
Let's reconstruct the killing.
Yes, let's.
Here. You do the stabbing.
No, I'll do it.
Why don't you be the one that gets stabbed? You're younger than I am. And remember, it takes 1 second to fall.
And she was found on his side, his right side. So fall and roll onto your right side. If another person hates someone enough to kill them, don't you suppose it's reasonable that the murderer would look at his victim for a second or two?
Divorce yourself from this particular case. Just human nature.
Yes, it seems reasonable.
No. Wait a minute. He fell on his right side. The father did. But stabbing someone isn't like shooting them, even if it's right in the heart. The father would have lied on the floor for a few seconds. Lying there. Writhing there.
That's true. There would have been enough oxygen in his system to carry him out for a second or two, I should think. Well then, wouldn't the father have cried out?
mouth.
That also seems possible.
Also, there's another point I'd like to bring out. Anyone who is clear enough mentally to wipe away the fingerprints after killing someone, well, that person is also clear enough mentally to look around the apartment, or the room in this case, for any other clues. It would only clear a second or two, but still they look around.
This gets better and better.
We're trying to make it clear. When does we talk about quality when murder is involved? Let's do it.
Oh, about this on the fingerprints. The kid wiped the fingerprints off the night. Well, what about the doorknob? If I saw a man coming into my home, a man that hated me, and if he was wiping off the doorknob with a handkerchief as he came in, it would give me an uneasy feeling. So the kid must have wiped the doorknob, and this too would take some time.
You time the last one, why don't you time this one too? All right, stamp your foot when you want me to start.
I want the hand to be a 60.
I'm gonna kill you. He would wipe both knobs. Stop.
15, 20, 25, 29 and a half seconds, I'd say.
And whoever did murder the old man, and I think it was the boy, still had to run down the stairs, at least one flight of stairs.
You see? You see?
So old man might have been wrong about the time, but in view of this, I think it's reasonable to assume he did see the kid run downstairs.
So now, both time sequences checked. The one you did and the one we did. What with running downstairs and everything, it does pretty much check out on times.
Sure, he's no man who wants attention. She's probably right. But the old man feels the same way everyone else does. A life is at stake.
So the story of the old man may as well be true.
Except for the fact that he absolutely swore under oath that it was only 15 seconds.
Well, we all seem to agree that it's 20, 45 seconds later.
You are now admitting that the old man lied in one case and told the truth in the other. I admit that this doesn't confirm the old man's story, but in part he is now a proven liar, and this is by an admission.
That may be true, that the old man lied in part. But I think I'll change my vote once more. Guilty.
And what about you? What do you think now?
I just don't know what I think. I want to talk some more. At first, I thought guilty. Then I changed. Now, I'm sure it's moving back to guilty.
And what about you?
No, I'm now in real doubt. Real doubt.
I say guilty. I was right the first time.
Now we're beginning to make sense of you.
Seems to be about 9 guilty to 3 not guilty.
One more question about the old man downstairs. How many of you live in apartment buildings?
I do not know what you're thinking, but I know what I'm thinking. What's that? I do not live in a tenement house, but it is close. And there's just enough light in the hall to see the steps, no more. The light bulbs were so small, and this murder took place in a tenement. Remember how we stumbled on the steps?
The police officers were using big bulbs, and one even had a flashlight, remember?
An old man who misjudged the time by 20 seconds. On this we all agree. And this old man looked down the dark hallway of a tenement and recognized a running figure.
He was 100% wrong about the time. It took him twice as long as he thought.
Then could he not be 100% wrong about whom he saw?
That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. You're making that up out of thin air.
We're a hung jury. Let's be honest about it.
Do you truly believe there's no room for reasonable doubt?
Yes, I do.
I beg your pardon, or maybe you don't understand the term reasonable doubt.
I don't understand it. Who do you think you are to talk to me like that? How do you like this girl? She comes here running for her life, and before she can take a big breath, she's telling us how to run the show. The arrogance in her.
No one is asking where anyone came from,
I was born right here.
or where your father came from.
Maybe it wouldn't hurt us to take a few tips from people who come running here. Maybe they learn something we don't know. We're not
instructed to say.
Well, there is something that has been bothering me a little bit. The knife wounds and the downward angle of it, you know?
Don't tell me we're going to start that again. They went over it and over it in court.
I know that they did, but I don't go along with it. The boy is 5 feet 8 inches tall. His father is 6 feet and 2 inches tall. That's a difference of 6 inches. It's a very awkward thing. Stab downward into the chest of someone who's half a foot taller than you are.
Look, you're not going to be satisfied till you see it again. I'll give you a demonstration. Somebody get up. Now watch this. I'm not going to do it again. Is that 6 inches?
It's more than 6 inches.
Okay, I'll let you know.
That's not funny.
What's the matter with you?
Now just calm down. Nobody's hurt, are they?
No, nobody's hurt.
Well, take a look at it. There's your angle. Down and in. That's how I stab a taller man in the chest, and that's how it was done. Take a look at it and tell me I'm wrong.
Down and in. I guess there's no argument.
Have you ever stabbed a man?
Of course not.
Did you?
All right, let's not be silly.
Did you?
No, I didn't.
Then where do you get all your information about how it's done?
What do you mean? Just common sense.
Have you ever seen a man stabbed?
No.
All right, well, let me ask you this. This kid was an experienced knife fighter. He was even sent to reform school for knifing someone. Isn't that so?
Right?
Look at this. Doesn't that seem like a pretty awkward way to handle a knife?
What are you asking me for?
Wait a minute. What's the matter with you? Give me that knife.
Have you ever seen a knife fight?
Yes, I have.
In the movies?
On my street. In my backyard. In the vacant lot across the street. Too many of them. Switch knives came with the neighborhood where I lived. Funny, I didn't think of it before. I guess you try to forget these things. Anyone who's ever used a switch knife would never have stabbed overhand. You don't handle a switch knife like that. You use it underhanded.
Then he couldn't have made the kind of wound that killed his father.
I suppose it's conceivable that he made the wound, but it's not likely. Not if the kid ever had any experience with switch knives. And we all know he had a lot of experience with switch knives.
I don't believe it.
Neither do I. You're just giving us a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
What do you think?
Well, I don't know.
What about you?
Listen, I'll tell you all something. I'm a little sick of this whole thing already. Let's just pack it up and go home.
Before we decide on anything more, I want to try and pull this thing together.
This should be good.
She has a right. Let her go ahead.
Do you want me to time this one too?
Let's hear her.
I'm an advertiser. I'm used to the big shots pulling things together. Let's chip off a few shots to see if any of them land on the green.
Now, I want you all to look at this logically and consistently.
We have guilty.
I want to know, was the kid smart or was the kid dumb?
What do you mean?
This is a kid who has gone to reform school for knife fighting. That night of the murder, he bought a knife, a switch knife. It would then take a very stupid kid to go and murder a man, his father, with an instrument that everyone would associate with the kid.
I quite agree. He's dumb.
However, if he were dumb, then why would he make the kind of wound that an inexperienced man would make with a knife?
I'm not sure I understand.
To murder a man was taking great emotion, great hatred, and at that moment the kid would handle the knife as best as he could. An experienced knife fighter would handle it as he had been trained, underhand, and a man who had not been trained would go overhand. But this kid is being smart. Everyone knows that he is an experienced knife fighter, and he is smart enough at that moment to make the kind of wound that an amateur would make. That is a smart man. Smart enough to even wipe away the fingerprints. Perhaps even smart enough for wait till an L train go by in order to cover the noise. Now, is the kid smart or is the kid dumb?
Hey, now, wait a minute.
Well, since the woman across the L track saw the murder, maybe someone in the L train saw the murder too.
A possibility, but no one did that we know of.
It would take an awfully dumb man to take that chance. Doing the murder as the train went by?
Exactly.
reasonable doubt.
I think I am too.
I've wanted more talk, and now I've had it.
I want another vote.
I agree. There's another vote called for. I guess the quickest way is a show of hands. If I object. All right. All those voting not guilty, raise your hands. 9. All those voting guilty. 3. The vote is 9-3, favoring acquittal.
I cannot understand you people. How can you believe this kid is innocent? Look, you know how those people died. I don't have to tell you. They don't know what the truth is. And let me tell you, they don't need any real big reason to kill someone either. They get drunk and bang! Someone's lying in the gutter. No one's blaming them. That's just how they are. You know what I mean? Violence. Human life can mean as much to them as it does to us. What is going on here? Look, these people are drinking and fighting all the time. And if somebody gets killed, oh, so somebody gets killed. They don't care. Oh, sure there are some good things about them too. Look, I'm the first to say it. I've known a few who are pretty decent, but that's the exception. Most of them, it's like they have no feelings. They can do anything. What is going on here? I'm speaking my piece, and you listen to me. They're no good. There's not one of them who is any good. We better watch out. Take it from me. This kid on trial? What don't you know about them? You, please, just listen to me. I'm just trying to tell you something.
I've had enough! If you open your mouth again, I'm gonna split your skull!
I was only just trying to tell you all something.
Alright, Ricky, sit down! I still believe that the boy is guilty of murder, and I'll tell you why. I think the most damning piece of evidence was given by the woman across the street, who claimed she actually saw the murder committed.
That's right. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony.
All right, let's go over her testimony. What exactly did she say?
I believe I can recount it accurately. She said she went to bed at around 11 o'clock that night. Her bed was right next to an open window. She could look out that window and see directly into the window across the street. She tossed and turned for over an hour, unable to fall asleep. Finally, at about 12:10, she looked through the window and saw the boy stab his father. As far as I can see, this is unshakable testimony.
It's just what I'm saying. That's the whole case.
In view of this, I don't see how you can vote for acquittal. What do you think?
Well, maybe. So much evidence to sit.
What do you mean, maybe? She's absolutely right. You can throw out all the other evidence.
I don't deny the validity of the points that she has made. Can we say on one side of the track there's doubt, but what can we say about the woman? She saw it.
What time is it? About 6:15.
Do you think they'll let us go home early and finish in the morning? I got a kid with the mom.
Not a chance.
Can't you see the clock without your glasses? Not clearly. Oh,
Glasses are a nuisance, aren't they?
well, what do you do when you wake up at night and want to look at what time it is?
I put on my glasses and I look at the clock. I just lie in bed and wait for the clock to chime. My father gave it to my husband and I when we married. It was about 10 years before we had a place to put it.
Do you wear your glasses to bed? Of course not. Nobody wears eyeglasses to bed. The woman who testified that she saw the killing, she wore glasses. What about her?
Did she wear glasses?
Of course. I remember this quite clearly. They look very strong.
Right, bifocals. She never took them off.
Funny. I hadn't thought of that.
I think it's logical to say that the woman was not wearing her glasses to bed, and that she wouldn't put them on to look casually out the window. She testified that the murder took place the instant she looked out the window, and that the lights went out a split second later. She couldn't have had time to put on her glasses then. Now, perhaps she honestly thought she saw the boy kill the father. I say she saw the murder.
How do you know what she saw? Maybe she's farsighted. How does she know all of these things?
Does anybody still think there is not a reasonable doubt?
I will always wonder, but there is a reasonable doubt.
I think he's guilty.
Anyone else?
No, I'm convinced there is a reasonable doubt.
he's guilty. What else do you want?
Your arguments.
I gave you arguments.
We're not convinced. We want to hear them again. We have time.
What's the matter with you? You're the woman who came up with all the arguments. You can't turn your back now. A guilty man is going to be walking the streets, a murderer. Stay with me.
I'm sorry. I'm convinced. I don't think I'm wrong often, but I guess I was this once. There is a reasonable doubt in my mind.
We're waiting.
You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion. It's going to be a hung jury, and that's it.
There's nothing we can do about that, except hope that some night, maybe in a few months, why, you might get some sleep.
You're all alone.
It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone.
And if it is a hung jury, there will be another trial, and some of us will point out these things to the various lawyers.
All right.
They're waiting. Not guilty?
Not guilty.